Hello, grade 4, how are you? Today we're gonna start our last lesson in this term, term 1. This is chapter 2, lesson 3. What the name of our lesson today? It's named Climate Regions. Okay, let's start. In the beginning of the lesson, guys, I'm gonna introduce the most important terms in the lesson. Let's start by number 1, weather. Well, the meaning of weather. Weather is the conditions day to day for only one day. For example, today is stormy, today is sunny, today is rainy, today is windy. Okay, so sometimes we are in the winter, but it's sunny day. Sometimes we are in the summer, means the climate is very hot, but it's rainy day. It's raining in the summer, no problem, right? Sometimes we are in summer and it's windy day. So here, when I speak about the weather, I'm speaking about the conditions for only one day. It's day-to-day conditions, right? So the weather may be stormy, may be sunny, may be rainy, may be windy according. And here, weather is very different than climate. Climate means the conditions, but for a long period of time. It's not only for one day, guys. No, it's for a long period of time. Okay. For example, if we check the climate of the European countries, we could find it it's very cold in winter. Okay. If we check the climate of the Arab countries, especially those countries like Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, all of these countries are very hot during all the months of the year. Okay, so if you how you check or how scientists check the climate of these regions, of course, guys, they tested the climate for around 10 years and more, okay, to declare the climate of a specific region. So climate here means the conditions, but for a long period of time. Okay, so if we check the summer, for example, in Saudi Arabia, the summer and the winter both are hot. Okay, it's very hot. This is climate because it's for a long period of time. Okay, let's move to the third one. It's precipitation. What the meaning of precipitation? From the picture here we have precipitation means the water that falls to the earth. Okay, anything falls down from the sky to the earth. Like what? Like rains. Number one, rains. Okay, rains is kind of precipitation, like snow, like sleet, like hail. By the way, snow, sleet, and hail are all kinds of ice, but different in size. So here, precipitation means anything falls down from the sky to the earth. Rains, snow, sleet, hail, all of these. After that, temperature. Temperature means a measure of how hot or cold the air is. Not only the air, the temperature of anything, of your body, of the air, of the food. So temperature here, it's a measure to test how this something, how the air, how your body is hot or cold. Okay? By the way, guys, this point I mentioned in our sessions. Listen, guys, if the degree is getting low, okay, starting from zero and you get low or less than zero, minus one, minus two, minus three, it means that the temperature getting cold, okay, or the air is getting cold. But if the temperature is getting high, okay, for example, 50, 60, 70, it means that the air is getting hot, the climate is very hot. So if you check, for example, the climate in the European countries, okay, in the winter, you could find it very cold. Why? Because it reaches, for example, minus 15, minus 20, okay, it means that it's very cold. You know that freezing is started from 0 degree. After that, if we're going down, it means getting cold. If we are going up, it means that the temperature started to get bigger, okay? It started to get hot. Like those hot regions I told you, like Saudi Arabia, for example, the temperature reached there to 60 sometimes. You imagine 60, okay? So still only 40 degree and you reach boiling, okay? So now that temperature, don't forget that when you have a small number, okay, or you get less than zero, it means that you got cold. But if your temperature is high, it means that you get cold, you get hot. I'm sorry. Okay. that, here at this point, factors affect climate. Factors affect the climate. Well, the meaning of this point, it means, guys, why we have very cold regions and why we have very hot regions because of these factors. Number one, the first factor is the distance from the equator. Well, the meaning of that, this is the Earth. And here, this fake line that divides the Earth into two parts, North Hemisphere and South Hemisphere, is called equator. It's a fake line that divides the Earth, imaginary line, to North Hemisphere and South Hemisphere. Okay, and those lines that came parallel to the equator is called latitudes, exactly. Okay, listen, guys, the sunlight is moving directly to this area, to the equator and all the regions around the equator. So here, guys, all the countries that lie in this location or in this area, in the equator area and the area around the equator, very, very hot. Why? Because they receive direct sunlight. Because they receive the direct sunlight. But as we move up or as we move down, these regions that away from the equator getting less sunlight, getting less sunlight. That's why they are very cold. And as much as we move away from the equator till we reach here the North Pole or to the South Pole if we're moving down, okay, of course, you know that North Pole and South Pole are freezing regions. Why? Because we're getting away from the equator. Okay, so now here the equator and all the region beside the equator or around the equator very hot. Why? Because they receive direct sunlight. But as we move up or down, okay, these regions getting less sunlight. That's why it's cold. Okay. After that, number two, the distance from a major body of water. Any body of water, it's sea, it's ocean, okay? If you live in front of the sea, okay, of course you have cold weather or cold climate. But if you live away from the ocean, from the sea, no, it's hot. Okay, all of us experienced that before because we live in coastal city. So if you're home in front of the sea or before a sea, okay, so you have cold weather, okay, and cold climate, of course. And if you live away from the city, no, it's hot. After that, the elevation. Number three, the elevation. Well, the meaning of elevation, elevation means the height. Elevation means the height. So now the third factor that affects climate is elevation. It means what? As we move up, guys, okay, as we move up, the temperature starts to be less, okay? So for example, if here the temperature on the earth is 30, for example, so as we move up, the temperature start to be less. For example, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 9, 8, 7, and so on until we reach sometimes to elevations or height of freezing. So if you go up, for example, on the top of the mountain, of a mountain, you find it very cold, okay? You find it very cold than the this level or the earth level, okay? So as you go up, as you go up, as you move up, your elevation is very high, of course, we have low temperature. So high elevations means when we go up, it's low temperature. Low temperature here means it's very cold. After that, point six here, guys, we have major climate regions, and this is in America. I just want you to identify these regions with pictures. And here, those pictures are not clear for you, so please open your book to check those pictures. Okay, so here, guys, you have six main climate regions in America. The tropical wet region, this one. Number two, the polar region, this one. The marine region, okay, this one, and of course marine coming from the word in front of any body of water. The desert region, desert like that. Highland regions, it means it has mountains, of course. And continental region, okay. After that, We have climate affects every part of our life, of course, guys. Now, the climate affects many things in our life. Number one, the plants. Which plants would grow? Which plants grow? I mean what? I mean that I have summer plants and winter plants. Of course, Mrs. Mayada, we have summer plants like watermelons, for example, like figs, like peaches, like mango. Okay, all of these are summer plants, and we have also winter plants like bananas, like apples, like oranges, especially oranges. Okay, it's growing in winter. So why we have these kinds of plants? Because of the climate. In the hot climate, we have specific plants, and in winter climate, we have other plants. Okay, number two, which animals that are found in specific regions? And here I mean that there are some animals that live in hot climates, like the camel, for example. He lives in the desert regions, and there are some animals which live in the winter or which live in the cold climates, okay, or cold regions, like the penguins. The penguin cannot live in hot climates, okay? They want cold climates. So now the climate affect the animals? Yes, of course, like camels and penguins. Okay, number three, which activity you can do? Any activity you can do, it's related to the weather. For example, in the summer, we can go swimming, we can go hiking, we can make many activities in summer. In winter, it has also its activities like, for example, skateboarding. Okay, skating, it happens in the winter. So now the climate affects on our activity. Yes. After our homes or our lives in our homes, guys. Okay, our homes in cold regions, of course, we have heaters in our homes. Okay, in winter, furnaces also. Furnaces here means heaters. And in hot regions, okay, especially in the summer, we have air conditioners. After that, the dry regions. The dry regions here, I mean the desert. What the meaning of dry regions? It means the desert. So now the dry regions, guys, or in the dry regions, the government try to control the water resources because it's a dry region. It doesn't have a lot of water, okay? Like those countries who have rivers and seas and oceans. So the dry regions, especially the desert, they have less water, and of course we need the water for farming and for drinking, and because it's less, so the government must control the water resources. Okay. Also, guys, the climate affects our life. How we all the time listen to the weather reports. Okay. In the morning, we listen to the weather reports. For example, it's raining today. Okay, so we have to wear heavy clothes, to wear jackets. Also, we have to drive safely, especially on snowy roads. But if it's getting hot or in hot weather, we have to spray bugs. Okay, we have to wear sunglasses, use sunblock, of course, to protect our skin. So now the climate affects our life. Yes, of course, it affects on the kinds of plants, it affects on the kinds of animals, it affects on the activities we can do, it affects our homes, how we can use heaters and how we can use or furnaces and how we can use air conditioners. It affects on how we use the resources, especially in the dry regions, and how we act according to the weather reports in winter or in summer. Okay, the last point we have today is control all the natural disaster. There are, guys, three natural disasters that happen because of the climate changes or the weather changes. What are these disasters? Number one is hurricanes. Hurricanes means those damaging winds. Look this picture of hurricanes, guys. Look how the wind is strong so that it can sweep away everything. It can damage houses, streets, buildings, trees, everything. Okay, so hurricanes means what? Means damaging winds. Okay, number two, blizzard. It's a storm, but it's from the picture, huh? It's a snowstorm. It's a heavy snowstorm. So what the meaning of blizzard? Blizzard means heavy snowstorm. So blizzard related to snow. Okay. Number three is tornadoes. What the meaning of tornadoes? It means that this twisting column of air, look, this air that's coming as a column, okay? So this twisting column of air is called tornadoes, okay? So now what are the climate disasters? Those are the three climate disasters: hurricanes, blizzards, and tornadoes. Okay, guys. Did the climate change over years? Of course, guys. If you ask your parents, if you ask your grandparents about the climate in Egypt in the past, no, it changed. In the past, the winter was very cold and the summer was cool, okay? But nowadays we find that the winter not cold, okay? In the past it was colder than nowadays, and the summer in the past it was cooler than nowadays. Why that happened? Why the climate changed? Why the winter changed? Why the summer becoming very hot, not cool, not cool like in the past? Why, guys? Because of some natural changes and also some human changes. What the man do? What the people do to change that climate? You know that people use fossil fuels to run machines, to run factories, okay, to run anything. So what's coming out of using the fossil fuels? Smoke. And of course, smoke make the earth's surface warm. Smoke make the earth's surface warm. That's why the winter became warmer than the past. In the past, the winter was very cold, but nowadays, no. It's warm winter. It's not too cold like in the past. Okay? If we check the summer very hot because of the warmness of the earth. But in the past, it wasn't warm. It was cold. Okay? After that, also the changes in precipitation, and this is natural process. Okay, so sometimes there are changes in precipitation and more violent weather events like these hurricanes, like blizzards, like tornadoes. All of these disasters also affect the climate. So the climate change over years, yes. Why? Because some natural disasters, okay, like those three disasters, and also because of some human actions. What are the human actions here? Using the fossil fuels. Okay, when they use the fossil fuels to run any machine, any factory, what's coming out of using the fossil fuels? Huh? Smoke. This smoke makes the earth surface warm. Okay, this is my lesson today, guys. If you need any information about anything, contact me anytime. Thank you, guys, and goodbye.